Welcome to Focus on Liberia. I'm Ansony Sieh hosting, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Today is Wednesday, and it is yet another edition of the Hour of Politics with me, Ansony Sieh, your usual host. Welcome to our show here at Focus on Liberia. Do us that usual favor by sharing the show with your contact so that as many people as possible can hear from our usual guest, Benjamin Kofa Fane, that is Ben Finn, as he's popularly known on Facebook. Welcome to the broadcast. In this edition of our show, just like the president gave his State of the Nation's address, as required by our democratic tradition, the opposition did give a response. Somebody would say a rebuttal. And it is that rebuttal that we are trying to critique and analyze here at Focus on Liberia. Of course, the opposition CPP did give a response to the State of the Nation's address that was delivered by President George Malawiya, and they have a lot of things to say. Does the opposition have any sense of credibility to give a rebuttal as they did? And were they also telling the truth? Hey, I have somebody here to help us analyze and critique the entire response of the opposition. The person will also take some time to look at some of the things that were said in the president's annual message. My name is Ansony. We are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. At this time, let me welcome my guest, Mr. Benjamin Kofa Fane, a presidential hopeful. Ben, as always, welcome home. This is Focus on Liberia. We are happy to have you.
I want to say thank you first to you, Mr. Ansony Sieh, and to the good people at Friends of Liberia, Focus of Liberia. I want to say I'm happy to be here. I'm very much always interested in discussing issues related to Liberia. I look forward to a fruitful dialogue with you as well as audience. I want to say hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to every Liberian in every part of the world that is hearing the sound of my voice. I'm happy to be here and I look forward to a fruitful dialogue. I thank you very much.
Benjamin Kofa, there, a presidential hopeful for the upcoming 2023 general and presidential elections, and maybe that's why we need to hear from him. And he has an opinion, as always. He is an opinion leader in the body politics of Liberia. But his task here is to throw light, provide a unique and balanced critique and analysis of the opposition response to the government or the president's annual message. Let's get to it, Ben. But before we get to the opposition response, I will want you to do two things.
Yeah.
First of all, what is your reaction? What would be your response to the president's annual message as you listened to it and you read it? What came out of you when you did all of that?
Well, there were some important things that struck me during the State of the Nation address. And these were, for me, the key things. Number one, the message was very light in terms of details. Let me say why I say that.
Okay.
This is an annual message. The data and the information is collated for the period of 12 months. So anyone who will listen to that speech will kind of expect details in terms of whatsoever item the president choose to talk about. It was very light on agriculture, as well as health care in Liberia. So those are important areas of our national life that we saw very little or no information on. So the speech was very light. The next thing was what I would call a zero sense of urgency. The president identified some key issues, but I didn't see anything in terms of timelines, in terms of expectation being set that within this time spent to that time spent, I want these things done. I will just give one case in point where he mentioned the distribution of the emergency food by the World Food
Program.
Program. Yeah, because and he said that we are still waiting. I thought that was something bad because when I pay people to do a job, I have expectation in terms of performance and results. So if we pay these people $9 million to distribute what I call emergency food, and up to now, that emergency food is not distributed yet. I won't tell them that we are still waiting. I will tell them that there will be consequences for any further delay. So there was a lack of sense of urgency, and I think in its totality, the speech gave me a sense that Liberia is being managed poorly in terms of the information that we got, because this speech information come from a lot of sources, and from the numbers that the president gave out, it spoke to me in terms of he not being briefed regularly, because if he was briefed, there were some numbers that he gave out, he wouldn't have added that to his speech. So I will use this occasion to encourage him to have regular cabinet meetings. You can do that once a month. Then you get updated analysis in terms of what your people, your appointees are actually doing in the field. Last thing I would say, all in all, it was not a great state of the union. It just, the speech came across as if the state of our union is bad. You see, that is my impression of the speech.
So you are disagreeing with the president because the president said, although the state of our economy is challenged, but the fundamentals remain strong and sound. Do you have a disagreement? Are the fundamentals not strong and sound?
Yes, I totally disagree with that. I will just give one thing in that line. The president noted that 90% of the cash we have in Liberia is outside the banks. 90%. That's the president numbers. 90%. Do you know what that means? That's a parallel economy. There are some people doing illegal things in terms of hoarding money. The people actually hiding money in their houses. So we cannot say, fundamental are strong when 90% of the available cash in the country is outside the banks. It makes no sense.
All right. Let's come to the official response of the opposition CPP. As required by our democratic tradition, they needed to respond, and they did. What's your impression about the opposition response?
The first thing I would say, especially also regarding the opposition response, it kind of paints a picture of what I call the tragedy of Liberia. The CDC is not doing well. Then we have an opposition that have an express intent of doing everything to replace them, doing worse than the CDC. I found their speech to be very, 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 the speech was just like a total waste of time.
Really?
Let me say why. There's a line in the speech where the spokesperson for the CPP said, some of us are not trapped in the ways of the old. We come with different ideas, believing that we cannot continue to do the same things, hoping to get new and different results.
Okay.
From the speech and everything that I gather, the CPP is coming back to do the same thing. So, the speech was a disaster. It was a waste of time, and it gave no alternatives in terms of what the president spoke about.
So let's do something here before we go into the substance of the speech or the response from the CPP.
Yeah.
Then, if you look at the surrounding, the setting where the speech was delivered, I was talking to my partner here, Dennis Jah. He was like, okay, are there now other leaders? Are there now other emerging leaders in the ranks and file of the CPP? Somebody to deliver this message I mean, it said that it needed to be Cummings or any other political leader. Why couldn't it be somebody else? And he was wondering because here in the US, for example, we saw Barack Obama. It was a similar event that brought him to the limelight. And at some point, the Republican gave that opportunity to Marco Rubio. But in Liberia, it's a different case. You know, it has to be one of the big names. Is that something that you care to comment on?
Yes, I do care to comment on it. And you see, it speaks to why I have joined this race as an independent candidate.
Okay.
You see, when you join these institutions, there are expectations in terms of you conforming. You know, they have the big man role, just like in CDC that I used to be in.
Right.
With the CDC, George Weah should be the be all and end all. LPP, Bromskin should be the be all and end all. ANC, Commies should be the be all and end all. How do you call it? ALP, URA should be the be all and end all. These organizations, they set themselves up to fail because they have no organization structure in terms of growing new talents, in terms of preparing new leadership. So that's why you see I joined this race as an independent actor, simply because this institution, they are set in stone. And that, I mean, that's just an example of what Liberia is. Liberia is the only modern state that have people now in authority that have been in authorities since the 1980s. There is little room for transition or bringing in younger folks with newer skill to help maintain the fight, sustain the fight, and move forward. That's why you see I joined this race as an independent actor.
Then I don't want to focus on your individual campaign here, but let's go to the substance of the speech. I read the speech very religiously, and I saw that the CPP did a good job by pointing out those things that the president did not mention at all in his speech. And I think that was a good way of trying to critique the president's speech. Don't you think so? Because, for example, the president made no mention of the referendum, and the CPP was able to highlight that. That is how you give a rebuttal. What do you think?
Well, I will tell you this. In line with what you're saying, I only acknowledge two things that the CPP talk about: the referendum and the MCC. That's the only two things that I heard. But what I'm saying is, you see, it is easy for me to come and say, Ansony is wrong, Ansony is wrong. It's easy to do. Right. But I must provide an indication, an inkling, some level of knowledge of an alternative. It's easy for me to come and say, Ansony is bad. Okay, Ansony is bad. I cannot run on the, I mean, with an agenda that Ansony is bad. I must provide alternative. But in Liberia, what the CPP is doing now, they are simply running on a platform that George Weah is bad. Okay, if George Weah is bad, I mean, let's agree with them. What are you offering as alternative to what George Weah is doing? And that's what we didn't hear. So, and that's what I made my notes. And as we go line by line, I will tell you some of the things that they said and some of the things that they didn't say.
Okay, so let's start with some of the things that they said, in your opinion, were spot on. Can you highlight some of them for us?
Yes.
Okay.
The first thing I want to start on is the debt. It was stated that the public debt has increased by over $300 million in 1 year. You see, when the CPP chairman comes out and say these things, it bothers me because this amount to governance and the lack of involvement of the opposition. Let me tell you why I say that.
Okay.
The opposition in Liberia, they have more lawmakers than CDC. Representatives are where senators. Okay. So these are huge debt that most times, in most instances, they get ratified by the legislature. They get ratified. So if the CPP chairman comes out and said the debt increased, and he said, I don't know, then there's something wrong with the CPP chairman. I mean, he's not working with his lawmakers because these debt, they are taken to the legislature for ratifications. So how did this happen that he don't know? For me, what I would say to that, to that debt increase was, what was the debt inquired for? what are the associated conditions with the debt, then I will know what to say next, because I don't know if George Weah saying, I'm going around bidding roads. I don't know what George Weah used that money's for until I can investigate and find out what the debt was incurred for and the conditions for those debt. I will reserve my views on that debt. But for the CPP chairman to come out, who has more lawmakers than the CDC, to act as if he don't know anything, then there's something wrong here. So I think that was one striking point, that he threw himself under the bus, by saying that, the debt increased and he don't know why.
So let's come to the issue of the economy. You think the CPP response to the president's report on the economy was spot on?
I would say I gave them I gave them a little, say like 2 points out of 10. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
You see, the CPP, in all of it, amalgamations, because you have the CPP. They are sometimes they transform to a COP, then sometimes they transform to just LP. But what all I'm trying to say is that the opposition, I think they don't understand economics and how it works, because fear, palpable fear, does a lot in terms of harming the economy of a nation. Since George Weah took over, we are seeing one protest after another. We have seen strikes, we have seen threats, we have seen all kinds of things. And for the mere fact that these things continue, they have economic consequences. I want to say the thing that June 7th, Liberia is the only country anywhere else, someone else would have come out and analyzed how much Liberia lost that day just because of that strike. We lost money, loss of income, revenue, everything happened that day. So the opposition, to a large extent, is harming the Liberian economy by manufacturing fear, manufacturing conflict. I think what they can do, if they want to help Liberia in any way, shape, or form in terms of the economy, they can respectfully disagree and respectfully engage the government. But
Ben, hold on, Ben. I beg to differ with you that because the opposition has participated in a couple of protests, and that in itself has contributed, to the covenant issue in the economy. I disagree, Ben. How does it affect the economy in any way? I mean, how long they have been protests? All the protests that you're referring to just happened in a split of few hours. The opposition have never protested for a 24 hours. They have never protested for 24 hours. Never. It's just 2 hours, 3 hours. Go ahead.
After this show, please, you should just search in your browser fear and uncertainty and the economic consequences. You see, if I'm an investor, I want to go to Liberia, and I turn on the news, I hear for 1 week, COP is having protest date moved from one day to the next. We're going in the street tomorrow. I see armed men. I see the cops all geared up, going down the street, driving down the street. I would not want to put my money in Liberia, because that image of uncertainty drove me away. Fear, just fear alone, is a bad thing for any economy. And all this negativity, we just heard the last few months, some auditors got killed. There was all this exaggeration without evidence. People say, oh, George Weah killed the people. George Weah killed the people. All of those negative press, they get picked up. They get analyzed. They get thrown out there where there are no facts, because nobody did an investigation. Nobody know who killed those people. There was no facts. But that information is out there. If you go online today, you will see someone with a post that George Weah killed 4 people. I'm not trying to talk about George Weah. I'm just trying to say,
Ben, hold on there, Ben. Hold on, then. Ben, do you think, or don't you think, the opposition blocs have had legitimate reasons for the protest that they have participated in?
I would say no. And I'll tell you why.
Why?
Okay, great. You see, when you look at the CPP or the COP, what do we see? I see a realignment of people who for 12 years managed Liberia or mismanaged Liberia for 12 years. And this push, this rush we see, it's not about bringing transformation to Liberia, my good brother. It's not about helping Liberia. It's just a rush. It's a quest to regain state power. My good brother, you and I, we are here for 12 years. The Unity Party ran Liberia. 12 years. 12 years. Me and you, we are talking today. We are talking about George. We are trying to install light poles. We're talking about George. We are trying to build roads. For 12 years, where they had billions of dollars going through that country.
Right.
So this is not about Liberia. It's all about a loss of state power and authority and a quest to regain it. You see, because I've never seen anything these people have proposed that is geared towards improving the life of a single Liberian. I've not seen it. I've not heard about it.
And I agree with you on the proposal issue. The CPP has not offered any plan for the Liberian people. Elections are barely 2 years away. They don't even have a timetable for their primaries before we can talk about a plan for Liberia. So I agree with you. But what I'm also getting from your expose here is that Liberians are more than gravitating to the CPP when they don't have anything to offer. Who do you want to blame here more for what you see as a trend? The current government or the CPP? Who do you think is responsible for people trying to put their trust in the CPP?
You know, that is one of the best questions I've ever had. You see, and that's one of the reasons why I'm in this race. You see, what's happening here is most of the time, leadership in Liberia has always been a vacuum. Why do you think? I mean, right now you go online, almost 1,000 Liberians will tune into all kinds of shows. I don't want to call people names, but all kinds of 1,000 Liberians will tune into some kind of show where somebody will insult somebody's mother, tune into some kind of show where somebody will say nothing, simply because myself and other Liberians included, we to a large extent neglected our responsibility to our country. That's why I'm coming in this race. That's why you see through this show, we will kind of draw the line in terms of who we are and who the CPP is. So people will say, no, but we have other options. Right now, people are moving towards the CPP simply because their options are limited. You know, people like myself, other Liberians, I want more people to get in this race. So we will have a logical debate on the substance, on what matters most. It's not what, Joey has a low haircut today. No. Let's discuss what matters most in terms of the transformation of Liberia. If you go online and somebody will tell you, Joey, I have 5 girlfriends. It don't matter to me. How do I transform West Point? That's what is most important. So until people like myself can come in this race, enough Liberians, we will all stir up this debate, and this movement will move away from the CPP. But for now, that's probably the only options available. So people will gravitate there. That's why I'm in this race.
And Ben, talking about raising the bread and butter issues of the country, substantive issues about governance, has the opposition CPP been up to the task in doing so?
Okay.
Or they have been on petty issues like bail and all that?
Yes. You see, this was something I wanted to say, and thank you, brought this thing up. Yesterday, the CPP chairman spoke about the CDC plan, that the Propo agenda for the
prosperity and development.
Yeah. Yes, and he also mentioned that in that plan, they said, I think in 5 years' time, they will bring out hundreds of thousands of jobs.
Yeah, they're going to create 1 million jobs. That's what the plan said.
And he also declared that they failed. Fair enough. But what the CPP chairman didn't tell us, what plan does he have? What plan does he have? You know, it's okay to say Ansony plan is wrong. It's okay, it's fine. But what am I offering as an alternative? What am I offering as an alternative? The CPP, as we speak, they don't have a website. The ANC doesn't have a website. So what
The ANC does.
No,
the ANC does. ARA is down now, but the ANC have had a website. I visited it before. Go ahead.
It is down because I used to help them with some IT work. It's down, completely down. They don't have it no more. If you type anclibrary.org, nothing is there. I used to help them. You see, they don't have a website. So how are these people brave enough to say something is wrong when they have no basis of comparison? You know, that it's like they are offering nothing as alternative. It's easy to come and say Georgia is bad. It's very easy. But I must offer something as an alternative. And that's what was missing yesterday. You know, they were saying all this Georgia is bad on education, Georgia is bad on justice. Yeah, but where are your plans that we can go to read them so we can analyze them, we can make comparative analysis? If you're offering me nothing, the only thing you're telling me is Ansony is bad, then I question what you're offering me.
All right, folks in South Space, you are watching Focus on Liberia. I'm Ansony Sieh hosting. Benjamin Kofafania is in studio. He is a presidential hopeful for 2023, and we are discussing the opposition response to President George Manawia's State of the Nation's address. This is where you want to be as Ben goes about critiquing and analyzing the response from the CPP. Then, you know, one who comes with equity must come with clean hands. Yeah. I agree with you 150%. The CPP's failure for not having a plan 2 years to election. Ben is running to be president. He just told me the reason why Liberians are going to the CPP is because they don't have any other options. You are providing yourself as an option. Where can I find your plan, Ben?
If you type in on your computer www.cofa2023.org, you will see my website and you will see all of my plans available there. And I will tell you this, those plans between now and next month, you will see what I call policy briefs. You will see all of them out there, but they are all out there. COFA2023.org. You will see all of my plans, all of the things that I plan to do, and everything you see up there. I will have what I call policy briefs. That's the detail, the meat, how we're going to enact them. They're going to be up there.
All right, Ben, I think you were right. I look up the ANC website is down. I tried 2 times now. I will just want to read. It stayed down. But we are not here for that. Let's come to the opposition CPP. Ben, this is one of the things the opposition said in their response. President, we are also called for currency reforms, citing the CBN does not have control over 90% of Liberian currency outside of the banking sector, thus recognizing the lack of governance or low level of governance in the banking sector. And you are saying they are just telling us what President Weah is not doing right, but they're failing to tell us what the solution would be. So what is your solution? Saying you are trying to query them for not providing solution. What is your solution on this banking mess that we have on our hands, man?
You see, banking, like some key industry, they work on what you call confidence. That is trust. For that problem to be solved, I wrote about it 2 days ago on my page. There are 2 things we need to do. We need to formulate a strategy here. I don't know at the state you live in, but if you go to some banks, you will see the advertisement. Some of the banks will tell you, if you open an account with us, you get $100. If you open an account with us, for 1 month, you get $200. The bank has to come up with innovative programs that will be attractive to Liberians. Benefit to Liberia. And the most important thing I made in that post was they must guarantee Liberians that when you put your 5 cents in this bank, when you show up tomorrow for your 5 cents, you will get it. That's number 2. The third one is we have to enforce laws in terms of hoarding of hard currencies. Because like I said earlier, some people are hiding money in their homes. They are strangulating the banks. We have to make that illegal. So if you are caught, you will be prosecuted to the fullest, because some people are literally running, they are literally running exchanges in their homes. They're doing it in their homes. Everybody knows everybody. So until we make laws against these things and put policies in place where the bank will make banking attractive, we're going nowhere. But let me tell you the key step we need towards that, and I've said this time and time again. Ansony, the
Yeah.
most important aspect to, I mean, that you need to run any state, you should account for your citizens. The government of Liberia has to institute a policy where every Liberian has something that we call a social security number. Every Liberian should be accountable, because with that, we know how many people are in Liberia, and we know how to plan and how to apportion resources. Number two, we need an address system for every, even if it is a Zing house, West Point Zone 1, House 10, every house needs an address. With that, that will be the foundation for a revival of the economy. But until we can do that, because if you go to the bank here, you and myself will go to the bank here. What are we? I say my name, John Brown. They ask for my ID. They ask me for my social security number. That social security number will tell them everything about me. That's how I get loan. But in Liberia, you cannot get a loan from the bank. You have to take your land deed. You say, I got, I got this, and I got everything. But until we can build Liberia in a way where we have address for everybody, we can distinguish the individual, the banking sector will not work. Those are fundamentals. Those are the foundation. That's what you need. But that's what the ANC and the CPP, they are not talking about, because some of them don't even understand. They will go to Liberia and carry on the same thing instead of saying, no, we have to reset this country. We have to realign the way we do things.
All right, Ben, let's look at something here that the CPP talk about. And let me read it for you. That is on healthcare and agriculture. Except for his mention of COVID-19 response, the president did not provide any update to the Liberian people on the status of the health sector. The reality is the health sector is still very weak and is still in need of major interventions. Similarly, there was no progress update on the agriculture sector. Instead, 3 years since this president was inaugurated, he is still announcing aspirations about what he will do about agriculture. It appears the president has finally cut off the adage that if you have nothing good to say, do not say anything at all. It is a shame that two of the most important sectors, healthcare and agriculture, have seen no improvement to have been reported. Ben, the CPP, I think they nailed it right there. What do you think?
Yes, with what you just read, unfortunately, I have to say this, I have to agree with them. Unfortunately, they were right. But like I said, again, they don't have a website, or they don't have documents where I can go and read about their own health plan or their own agricultural plan. But what they stated, they were right, because those are two critical sectors. And I think, like I said earlier on, I was shocked that the president didn't expand on them. Let me tell you one thing. I worked for the UN as far back as 2002. There was a research made long, like 2002, almost like 19 years ago.
Right.
The UN came up with a research document that said that most countries in Africa, their only way out of poverty, they said the only way, not the diamond, the gold, everything, is agriculture. They said that's the only way. Number one, let me tell you why. We have a lot of youthful manpower. We have 65% of the people who call themselves Liberian now, they're under 35 years old. We have you don't need extensive, skill set to be trained. It's just manual work. But we are not investing in agriculture. I don't know why. I do not know why. Because there are two things we could do there. We could feed ourselves and we could export. But with that also, we could create jobs for a lot of people if we just engage in what I call government farms. We're not planning 10 things. One farm will plant one item, the other farm one item. So we have people trained to have specialty in that one produce. We have to create government farms. We have to invest in those things. But look at the Ministry of Agriculture's budget. Look at the budget. Ministry of Agriculture gets nothing. Ministry of Health gets nothing. But the Ministry of State, that literally does nothing, gets all the money. So there are some major realignment that need to take place. But sadly, I can guarantee you this: when the CPP comes to power, they will do the same thing. Let me tell you why. Because the CDC that I was part of, we promised Liberia change. We came and we are continuing the same thing. We're doing the same thing. Maybe, in some instances, we're even exaggerated.
But yeah, hold on. From what I'm gathering here, you are accusing, maybe not accusing, but you are saying that the CPP is very hypocritical, trying to tell the current government that, hey, here you are, you have nothing to offer on agriculture, you have nothing to offer on healthcare, and they themselves don't even have a website where they have their health and agriculture plan, so they're not in the right place to be talking about these things, and they are hypocritical. Is that what I'm hearing from Ben?
Not only hypocritical, but they have no legitimacy. Legitimacy means you have the right to speak. They have no legitimacy, and they have no. Let me just stress that one more point. The speech, it was so shameful. The speaker talked about integrity. He talked about LACC. But then that same speaker, as chairman of the CPP, supported Brownie Samukai. Brownie Samukai is not an accused person. He's not accused. He's a convicted criminal. He was convicted by a court. He was sentenced to prison. And this CPP chairman is telling me about integrity. He's telling me about integrity when you have Brownie Samukai as your senatorial candidate.
Is that the gentleman on the screen you're talking about?
Yes. This is not hypocrisy. This is just simply assuming that the Liberian people are not smart enough, that they won't understand what you're saying, that you can say this thing and get away with it. You can't tell Liberians about integrity when you have Brownie Samukai as a senatorial candidate on your party banner. You can't do that. You cannot. You cannot.
All right. So the CPP chairman also spoke on corruption, like you were trying to talk about earlier. And let me put something on the screen and read it for you quickly here, if you don't mind. Let me see if I can enlarge this a little bit so our folks here can see it. I think it's better now. In red. Even where the administration commission investigation and audits, it has continued to demonstrate that it lacks the character of leadership and political will to implement recommendations in its own report. Established to aid the fight against corruption, integrated institutions are either dead or on life support. The head of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, LACC, one of the most important institutions in the fight against corruption, has been condemned by the Ministry of Justice to be a fraudster and a criminal. Well, those are tough language there from the CPP chairman when he was giving a rebuttal to the president annual message talking about a guy called Wambodiki, a fake Liberian. And the government Ministry of Justice described this guy as a fraudster and a criminal. I think the CPP have a point here, Ben.
Well, I would agree with the CPP on that. But what I found troubling is that the CPP too, showcased Brownie Samukai, a convicted criminal, as a candidate. That's where that's where the irony comes in. Because on one hand, you were saying the right things. Nwabudike, from my standpoint, I agree with them. Nwabudike should be sent to court, should be tried, and should be deported to Nigeria. I agree with them on that. But you cannot say that while you have Brownie Samukai, a convicted and sentenced criminal, as a senatorial candidate on your party's ticket. Then that's where the irony comes in. So the CPP has no legitimacy. They have zero legitimacy. And you look within the CPP. Look within the CPP, like I said, 85% of the officials, they come from the Unity Party, under the Unity Party. Liberia won the title of the most corrupt nation in the world. I mean, we're not talking about the third or fourth. Liberia won the title of the most corrupt nation in the world. And let me tell you something that struck me here. Cummings have been alive for God knows how long. I don't know his age. Cummings cannot tell me that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, 12 years, he didn't know what Liberia was. If he tells me that he just got interested in Liberia 4 years ago, then I will find something troubling with him. Cummings was alive during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf presidency. What did he say regarding all the bad things that was happening under Ellen's time? I can tell you this, which is a shame. People were being paid huge sums of money for doing no work. The government was mismanaged. The country was just totally corrupt. Look at what we have now. No electricity, no running water. For 12 years, we had a functioning government receiving billions of dollars. So there is no legitimacy here. This man spoke like with the expectation that Liberians would understand what he's saying, with the expectation that for the fact that he come and just say, oh, George Weah is bad, people will gravitate to him. What I would tell Liberians, you have to make sure that you investigate whoever is saying what. Know their history, know their antecedents, know what they stand for. They have to be principled individuals. I will tell you this, under my administration, even if my mother who gave birth to me, if she steals money, she will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. She will be. You know, Liberia should take a new turn. We should set this country up so that our children and their children will be proud of something. We have something to look back to.
Well, Ben, talk is cheap until when one sits in that hot seat, then it becomes difficult. We have heard many in the past. Your former political party, CDC, is a clear example today that is a living and walking contradiction of its own words. Almost every little word it uttered in the past is living the opposite of it, one of which is the War Crime Code. They have zero interest whatsoever in that. But stay on the CPP response to the president. Let me give you something they said on education here. So let's talk education, Ben, and I'll get your response. On education, the president stated that his free tuition policy has increased enrollment at the University of Liberia from 8,000 to 18,000. What the president thought Liberians do not remember is that before he came to power, enrollment at the University of Liberia had been between 20 to 30,000 students. Additionally, the president expects us to celebrate the percentage increase of students passing one subject in WAS. What mediocrity! Education remains a crucial part of our development, and until we are serious about fixing it, this president and his administration will continue to celebrate mediocre outcomes. Your response?
Yeah, you see, I partly agree with them, but let me go one step further. The president a few days ago, he visited some MCSS schools, and the president found out that those schools were being managed in a very deplorable manner. At the end of those, at the end of that trip, the president declared, "Fix this." I would say that's a sign of poor leadership. When the president visited those schools and found our young people, the future leaders of Liberia, being managed in such a poor state, I thought the president would have immediately dismissed the Minister of Education as well as the MCSS boss. They should have been dismissed. But you see, this shows a lack of will. I mean, a lack of a full understanding of what education is and the impact it has on the future of the nation. So here in the CPP is right. I don't want people to just have education for education's sake. It should be quality education. And we must have a strategy. We must have a clear-cut plan in terms of what the 12th grade education will be in Liberia. From first grade to 12th, we must have a clear, our school plan should be definite. One of the things I want to ask everyone here, that includes the CPP, what defines what is a school in Liberia? Ansony, here, you cannot open a school. There are standards for what a school is. The Ministry of Education should have a standard for what a school is, what we call a school. But anything goes for a school. That's why, we went and met kids on the floor, no seat, no nothing, and we are mad. We cannot be mad because we have zero standardization. We don't, the major pieces that we need to make this puzzle work, they are not in place. And I'm shocked that, someone will talk about LU attendance rate. It means nothing to me. I'm looking for quality education. Quality education. So for the fact that he didn't hold his officials accountable, even at the end of the speech, the president issued a warning. I would have fired ministers during that speech. I would have fired them. So CPP is right here, but the sad thing is, I don't know what the CDC, what the CPP education policy is. I don't know where to find it because I have to compare.
Folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. My name is Ansony Sieh hosting, and we are discussing, analyzing, and trying to critique the response of the opposition CPP to President Joshua's State of the Nation's address. Ben, let me read something for you on referendum. Additionally, folks who are following us here, just right here. Additionally, the president failed to mention anything about the much heralded national referendum, which he campaigned for. It was a deliberate omission by the president not to report the willful, sloppy, and incompetent handling of the referendum process, where, because of the lack of civic education, invalid votes in some counties reached as high as 70%. Again, the CPP. Then on this one, maybe the CPP had the moral standing because they took the government to court. They filed a lot of injunction. They made it clear it was not prudent, for the government to have proceeded with the referendum. The government went ahead anyway, and now this is the failure. Where you stand on that?
Well, like I said again, unfortunately, I have to agree with them. But you see, this points to the fact that in Liberia, many people in the leadership don't know or don't understand how government work. I think they don't understand that because government works most time in what I call processes. We have strategic plans. When the government announced this referendum, I was one of the people that was vocal against it. Number one, the NEC is totally incompetent. The NEC has a constitutional as well as a statutory responsibility for what they call civic voters education. They did nothing of that. People are not informed. Look at the invalid votes. 70% is more than a total failure. So it's a total failure that costs us money because we pay for those ballots. And up to now, me and you, we are on this show. We have heard no form of accountability. Nobody resigning in shame, in disgrace, because this was a total failure. But you see, the leadership too is not holding them accountable. That's one of the critical elements in Liberia, accountability. After these people failed on this massive scale, we held none of them accountable. So again, the CPP is right, but like I said, on the other hand, you and I on this show, we cannot find their plan. We don't know what they are proposing. We don't even know where to go and read documentation in terms of what they are telling the Liberian people. As of now, they are only telling us George Weah is bad, vote for me. I will not buy that.
All right, let me bring in our viewers here quickly with some comments so that we can get your response, and then we continue with the broadcast. This one is from Emmanuel Saka. He knows but can't control those so-called lawmakers. They are all self-centered beings, never in the interest of the Liberian people. This one from Sion. Don't waste your time, mate. Somebody is telling you not to waste your time. That one is from Francis, and Francis writes, and they are same people that printed the 16 billion that they were protecting for. Okay, you meant to say protesting for. So you're trying to say they are, and they are the same people that printed the 16 billion that they are protesting for. Francis Guin, okay, it's the same one. He wrote it twice. This one is from Jimmy Eastman. Ben is right. It is so typical of Liberians. We know how to criticize, but not how to fix. Some of the alternatives they offer are shallow and will not stand the test. Maybe you should have pulled the SMART test. All right. This is Connor E. Remin Gray. Connor Gray, you need to come and focus on Liberia. I will get back to you, sir. We need to bring you in here for an exclusive. You are so knowledgeable on the issues. He writes, we shut down the ANC website, Minnesota website also. These folks are not ready for prime time. This is sad news coming from E. Remin Gray. I think his heart bleeds that this is happening. ANC, the Alternative National Congress for Liberia, that want to replace this another tragedy of a government, in my opinion, can't even maintain a functional website. Jesus Christ. Gray again. Address system and individual identification are important steps forward. I couldn't agree more. Jimmy again. Gonna Remin Gray, couple of that to the enactment of a national database. I think he's trying to tell. He said, add that to what? A national database. Let's do that. Thomas Awoji, I agree with them 100%. We need and deserve total transformation in that country. Like you have from Francis again. They just elected Musa Bility as chairman for the Liberty Party. Ben, I will want to get an eloquent response from you on that one, because the CPP is making noise here that they have the credibility. And don't forget, we will talk on the long justification of this guy of a criminal, as was reported, being elected as chairman of Liberty Party. Sad times in Liberia. Francis again, he is already a senator for Lofa. We know that, my friend, and that is sad. Rose Russell, Washington. Propo King, for nothing sweet mouth. We heard all those sweet talks before. Ben, people say they heard those sweet talks before. Maybe when you were in CDC, you were talking the same sweet talk. And here you are. You're talking this sweet talk from different corner. Why should we expect any different result? Folks, we just heard from you. Let's get to our guest here for his response. Ben, a couple of interesting comments there. Let's hear from you.
Well, the first thing I want to talk about what Mr. Gray, who talked about the address. I just want to give a case in point here. Say, for instance, you and I mean, I like sports. I leave West Point, where I was born, and I go to the SKD. Watching the game, I'm excited. Unfortunately, I get a heart attack, and I drop and die. In current day Liberia, my body will be deposited in the nearest morgue, and it will stay there for months. That's why the address system is very important. If we have an address and everybody has a social security number, when they search me, they will find my ID card. My ID card will tell whoever look at it exactly where I'm from. Even if I moved, they will go there and they say, oh, they got moved from here over there. So that's one of the importance of having an address system and a unique identifier for each individual. So all of that. Now let's go to Musa Belete case.
Right.
Well, with that, you see, It's one of the things I call the tragedy of Liberia. What we keep doing, we are recycling people. You just mentioned it. Like whoever gave the response to the State of the Union, why couldn't they bring out a young man or a young lady to do that? Why does the Liberty Party feels constrained to bring out Musability? Why? There's nothing against his ethnicity, nothing. But are there no more available young people to do these jobs? It boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. We keep going back to the same people. Cummings said it, and that's what I quote in his speech. Let me quote the speech again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Some of us are not trapped in the ways of the old. We come with a different ideas, believing that we cannot continue to do the same old things and hoping to get different results. This is quoting from Mr. Cummings' speech. So we cannot keep going to the same players and expecting different results. We have young Liberians who are smart, who can do this job. We cannot keep overlooking them and referring to old people to do the same thing. It makes no sense. Look at the last election. Look at some of the candidates. We had Taylor on the ballot, Balut on the ballot. These people who are literally spent. We have all candidates. We have a lot of young and vibrant people in that country. Some of them are so positive they can move this country forward.
And Ben, I know you're in speech, but let me read this, talking about the same ability and its insane subject, so we can. It might be hard for them to read, but I'll read it for you. And so this was DeLong after the criticism started mounting for Liberty Party electing Musa Belete as its chairman, and the reason people have been throwing out these criticisms is the main fact that Musa Belete was banned by the World Football Body, FIFA, for misappropriation of funds, and he was banned for 10 years. So that record is there, and the party will go and elect this man. And now, Senator Darius Dillon, the light, they call him, he came to the rescue to justify this decision that was made by his party. And the front page is reporting here, and let me read that. Jehovah God used some of the worst sinners on earth to do his work on for his glory. Some of those sinners probably had no intention of changing for the better. God used them still, and they changed for the better. Yes, they changed for the better and never went back to their sinful ways. He continued, we can change too and also be the reason others can change for the better. So encourage people to change, then beat them up at their attempt or opportunity to change. Let us always encourage, embrace, and allow our source to change to Paul for the good of our country, and to God be the glory. Can you believe this kind of justification coming from Darius Dillon? This is a guy who beats on the CDC, and anybody in the CDC, he's beating on Wambodike. He is making all the effort he can to get Wambodike out, quote unquote, for corruption. And yet he is somebody that has been banned by the World Football Body, and he's gone to the Bible to justify it. What's your take, Ben?
Well, I will have one answer to that. I will say, well, let him accept also that George Weah can be a Saul who will change to Paul, if that's the standard we're using. I'm letting him accept that too. So, then maybe I should reject the fact that he beats on George Weah every day in terms of doing the right thing. The same principle that he's using, let him use it on George Weah too. I just think it's fair. But what this boils down to, it boils down to simply a lack of integrity. Dillon is simply telling you that my rogue is a better rogue. Your rogue is a bad rogue. That's the bottom line. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. He's simply telling Liberians that my rogue is a better rogue. Your rogue is bad. To a large extent, it speaks of hypocrisy. But this is the Liberian environment. Like I said earlier on, these people can mount these stages and they can get away with this. The public don't hold them accountable, so they can get away with it. In the next few weeks, we'll be talking about different things. They'll say, oh, Dylan is the light. In the next few weeks. That's what we're talking about. But until we can have a systemic transformation in that country, especially so under the basis of holding people accountable, the country will not change. Because there are no good rogues, there are no bad rogues. A thief is a thief. No matter what, he must be held accountable. Liberians, just a few months ago, George Weah came on and said, we are interrelated. We're interrelated. Being interrelated should not prohibit me from prosecuting people for criminal acts. Should not. But until we can get invested in doing what is right in that country, we'll be where we are. We need critical leaders, we need sincere leaders, and we need men and women of high integrity. High integrity. Because see what we're saying. Like the last few years, we've had lawmakers. Ansony, I can bet you cannot point to me a single law that these people have passed that is benefiting Liberians. You cannot. I don't think anybody listening to us can do that. We had lawmakers since 2006. They have been hearing State of the Nation address. They've been hearing it all. You cannot point to me a single law that these people have passed, but yet they are making thousands of dollars every month on the public dime. There's total lack of integrity on all sides. They don't care.
It's gonna irremigrate reaction. Dillon's section is hypocritical to the core. And Ben, let me bring the other aspect, right? Now, Dillon, to his credit, I don't know whether he deserves any credit. I don't think he deserves any credit here. He does not deserve any credit. He apologized. But guess what? What he's apologizing for? He's apologizing for what he said. There's a difference to apologize for something you said from what you did. Are you paying attention?
Yes,
so his political party, Liberty Party, with Senator Dillon in leadership, elected this guy who is on a 10-year ban by FIFA for misappropriation of funds, an international body. He will help to provide leadership to elect this guy as his party's chairman. And he is beating the CDC like a dead horse, and I agree with him. And he will go to provide leadership to elect this young man, and then will justify and trying to tell us that this guy is the Saul, and we should see him as Paul. And that's what he's doing. He's not apologizing that they have elected this guy as their chairman. He's only apologizing for justifying it. Remy Gray is spot on that this man is hypocritical to the core. And what he's doing here is cleverly trying to cajole the minds of people who are not critical minded. This is not an apology. He did something. It's not what he said was trying to tell you this is what I did. And he's only apologizing for what he said. But what he actually did, Ben, he's not apologizing for it. And he is the light.
No, Ansony, I would tell you this. Dillon would do this because he knows he can get away with it. He can get away with it. You see, there's something in management that said people will do to you what you allow them to do to you. See, Dillon knows that he can get away with it in the Liberian setting. He knows that there will be no consequences here. There will be no demands on him. As far as we know, even in line with the speech that we have here to talk about, Musa was there. Ability was like 2 feet out. Maybe 1 foot away from Mr. Cummings.
Yeah.
Mr. Ability, I watched the video. So even though we're talking about this man's integrity, Cummings was on the platform speaking against corruption, but then having Musa Ability sitting next to him. Those are the ironies, those are the anomalies But like I said, my good brother, these people do these things with the knowledge that they can get away with it. People will not hold them accountable. So they will continue to do it until Liberians say, no, we have to stop this. Until Liberians vote for people who are honest, who have integrity, and who wants to do the right things. We will continue to have this. We will continue to have this. Dylan, just a few months ago. I mean, I don't need to go into this thing. You know,
no, we have to, because this is, let me stop you there, Ben. We have to, and that is what we're doing here. And I think, Ben, there is this gentleman, or Eduardo, who is one of the discussion on our program here called On Point. He always make the point that let us fight for Liberia for what is right, or on what is right, and not who is right. And because if we come to who is right, if somebody is in your association, you will justify for them, and that's exactly what DeLon is doing right here. If the goal of all of us will be, look, let us fight for a better Liberia, on what or for what is right, a character ability should have no space being a head of a political party that is making all the noise about the CDC being corrupt. And now we have these individuals among them, and they're not even keeping them in the back, they're bringing them in the spotlight. So here is a post from E. Raymond Gray again, a comment here. He said, Funanti Kofa came from the LP, which is the Liberty Party. Israel Akinsanya also came from the same Liberty Party. So this is a Liberty Party now that is filling us with people of questionable characters. And these are the people they want us to accept as leaders in the country. Then where are we going?
Yeah, you see, we have shown as a people that some of these things, they are acceptable. Let me just tell you about the people you mentioned. If you go to my page right now, I'm from Antikopa, like a few weeks ago, he sent me a friend request. He sent me a friend request. I accepted it. But when he just got that election, I made a post and I condemn him. I condemn him totally. You see, we must have the moral courage. Then these things will be unattractive. But you see, if we don't condemn these people, if we don't hold them accountable, Dylan, I mean, let's look at his rise. Dylan offered the Liberian people nothing in terms of what he's going to do for them. He ran on a platform just like the CDC now that George Weah is bad. That's all he said. George Weah is bad. Vote for me because George Weah is bad. Sorry, vote for me because George Weah is bad. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. But Dylan offered no platform. There's no program. There's nothing Dylan planned to do that you and I know of. Nobody can tell us.
Well, all I heard from Dylan was a rehabilitation center for Zoko, and he started the project. And the other thing he's been saying is that I will shine the light, I will shine the light, I will shine the light, and I will shine the light. And that's all we heard for the most part. And our people fell for it.
But that's it. So you see, similarly, he feels that he can come out and say somebody was a Saul and he had been transformed to a Paul, that people will buy that again, because this is important. This is something that they have grown, to know that they can do this and get away with it. They can get away with it.
All right. On the subject of ability still, and the information from FIFA should be double checked. Mr. Ability said that the accusation leveled against him is from LFA, saying that he misappropriated funds, misleading information. Well, it has been reported multiple times. I don't know whether this brother has been able to settle this thing with the FIFA, but it's been a couple of years now, and he's still on that ban. There has not been any information whether he's been removed from that ban. And Ben, let's go deeper into Dylan again. We have seen a pattern now with Dylan. We knowingly say some things, do some things, and will come back and apologize because now he feels that he's the darling. And the reason why they continue to call him the darling is all because he's beating on this who is the ugly bamboo, this CDC that is the ugly bamboo in our governance space. Let me give you a few examples. The very Dylan, just because he felt provoked about the government behavior, he will go on to say they're going to stone the president convo. I don't encourage that.
No.
And he said that.
No.
The next day he will come and apologize. This is the very Dillon who will say, I will not take a $45,000 car. Few hours after being elected, he was seen in a $45,000 car. This is the Dillon who said he will expose everything but will take a $6,500, pocket this money, and then come to tell us, apparently because he might have heard that somebody will say, hey, if you don't say it. So he rushed to us to say that. Dillon will come and tell us that he apologized after he justified that it was appropriated. Or who told you that the car that you criticized and later told was never appropriated in the first place? The cars were appropriated, was in the budget. And when he talked about it, he talked about how that those cars were being appropriated. He talked about it. But yet he will go on to say it was wrong for the legislator to do so. He came and took the car, despite his supporters begging him not to do so. We have seen a pattern. The very Dillon who go to a neighborhood during campaign, who say to a woman, I'm not responsible for that, and shun the woman and turn her off, not even giving her audience as to what she's really trying to get at, he will come back and apologize. This is a pattern. Ben, and that is why you say you're running, but Joshua have done it to the Liberian people. Charles Taylor did it. Ellen did it. What makes you different? But I want you to comment on Dillon's behavior first, then you can comment how you will be different.
Yeah, the first thing about his behavior is, the most important part that you mentioned there was when he said he was stoned a George Weah car. You see, when you make those kind of statement anywhere in the world, it is tantamount to a threat to the life of the president. So I won't blame him in that instant. I will blame the system of justice in the country for not holding him accountable. Because if I break the law, no matter how much I come and say I'm sorry, the law don't care for that. The law will hold me accountable. So if they didn't hold him accountable, they accepted his apology, then I blame the law. That is one. But like I've been saying, since we started this program, these people engage in this form of behavior because they understand, they know that they can get away with it. They can get away with it. So they will continue to do it. They will continue to do it.
All right. Let me bring in some interesting comments coming in here. Let me see this one. I'll read this one from Sieh. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. If I don't, I apologize. When Dillon never gave you any platform, go and protest against him. I think the person meant to say protest against him or go and sue him. But why I know Dillon is going for 9 years. For sure, Dillon has been elected for 9 years. No argument about that. But we are saying he should do the right thing. He shouldn't be saying things that are wrong or doing things that are wrong, come to justify it, and then he will be told that you are wrong and then turn and apologize. We can't be doing that. All right, let's see this one from an affiliate here. That is Mr. Dwalo. He writes, not true. Google the exceptionalism of Abraham Darius Dillon's vision. His plan are a vision that clears the path for institutional governance. If you are saying that Dillon has a plan and we are wrong, Dwalo, then thanks for pointing that out. Just post the link here so I can click on it and show it.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah, just put the link here, Dwalo, so I can click on it because I just typed in dariusdillon.com. I didn't see anything, and it could be because I got the web address wrong. Just place the link of the website here so that we can show it. We are humans and we will correct ourselves. But until then, I don't know. Maybe he has a website with all his plans. We will appreciate that, so we can correct that. Thomas Awoji, Liberian politicians never run on any issue of substance, and the people continue to vote for them. That is absolutely true. Bayoga Jones, my friend, if you don't have anything on this show, tell us. Please keep quiet. Oh, it is our right to talk, my man. You are tapping to and we're showing your comment, and you say we should keep quiet. We got to keep talking. Talking, we're not fighting. Conor Gray again, the allegation against Billy were were cross-checked by FIFA and found to be credible. The FIFA 10-year ban was in addition to acts unbecoming of his roles in FIFA. Thank you, Colin Gray, for adding to our. Okay, Steve Watson, let's support Water Economic Crimes Code in Liberia. That will change Liberia for good. I couldn't agree more. Amsu Dwalu is saying the link is coming. We will appreciate that because we do not want to say anything that is not the truth. Watson again. Mr. Ben, what's your take on the Work and Economic Crime Court? Ben, keep that after I reading a few comments. Amso Dwalu. Dwalu is sending a Facebook link. I mean, a link from a front page instead of a website. We're asking you for a website, my friend. We are in the 21st century. Send me a website with a man playing on the night, playing in a news article. All right. Well, at least he sent something. Thank you for sharing that. Sarah here, Sarah double writes, the law is a scammer. What is your proof? Sarah, send us some proof that this brother is a scammer. Ben, few comments there. Your response.
Yes, especially the War Crimes Code. I want to say this. I want to be categorical. From day one, I am going to ensure the first thing that the TRC report is implemented to the fullest. No ifs, ands, or buts. Even if it implicated my grandma, she must be held accountable. Over 250,000 Liberians died. There must be some form of justice for their families. Number two, the War Crimes Code will be fully implemented. No ifs, ands, or buts. No ifs, ands, or buts. Those are two signature items from day one. We had a tragedy in Liberia where over 250,000 Liberians died. Liberia is the only country that such huge tragedy held no one accountable after the fact. I mean, 250,000 people, that's no joke. So for me, those two signature items will be implemented on day one. The third item on day one will be the total forensic audit of the CDC-led government from top to bottom. Those are the three signature items for day one. Thank you, sir.
Folks in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. My name is Ansony Sieh hosting. We are now at the end of this broadcast. Let me read a few comments. Let me see this one for Sarah, from Sarah again. Financiable, dog follower of no. This kind of comment focus on Liberia. I mean, you guys bringing your little children fight. We don't dignify those kind of talks here, man. You have something substantial, or substantive to talk about. Bring it. This is Liberia CNN. We don't entertain those kind of conversation. Liberian lawmakers are criminals, and Liberians continue to vote for them because Liberians themselves are criminals. Wow, we Liberians are criminals. That is an indictment on us all. Then, what's going on? All right, folks, this is how we will come to the end of the broadcast here at Focus on Liberia. But before we do, we will get a parting comment from our guest here, Mr. Benjamin Kofa Fane. Ben.
Yeah, last thing I want to say thank you for your show, and thank you to everyone who interacted with us. I'm very appreciative. I want to let Liberians know that our nation has hope. There are many credible Liberians. There are many prepared Liberians out there who I hope by my involvement in this race will be inspired to get in this race. I want as many competent people as possible so that the pool of ideas will be so large that after the election, Liberia will take off. We need to rescue our country. What we have ongoing now is a total tragedy. The opposition is no different from the government they are trying to replace. As we can see from what happened a few days ago, when the CPP reacted to the State of the Nation address, they had the chairman of the LP seated less than a foot away from the CPP chairman. These are signs that these people are not interested in change. They are only interested in changing their own lives. I want Liberians to think, I want Liberians to act, and I want Liberians to hold their leaders accountable. That includes me. The final thing I want to say, trust me, Liberians, from day one, I'm going to make sure that there's a full implementation of the TRC report. No ifs, ands, or buts. Number two, there will be an institution of a war crime court. Full institution. The third item, there will be a forensic audit from top to bottom of the CDC-led government. Forensic audit. Those who will be censured, those who will be mentioned for accountability, they can be guaranteed that they will be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. There is hope for Liberia. I want all of us to come together to move this nation forward. We need new players, we need new ideas, and we need Liberians who for long have sat on the sidelines and watched our nation fall this low. I need everyone, even if you will come to contest, to push me out of the race. I need you in, because collectively we can move Liberia forward. I thank everyone, and I'm happy to be here. I thank my host. To every Liberian who hear the sound of my voice, there's hope. There is chance that our nation can be revived, and let's be positive. I thank you very much.
On that note, folks, this is how we will come to the end of this broadcast here at Focus on Liberia. As always, we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. And you just follow us here, elevating the national discourse of Liberia, how our leaders can wise up, buckle up, be serious, take out the bad apples among the good ones for the forward march of our country. Folks, it can be done. It can be done on what is right for Liberia and not on who is right. My name is Ansony Sieh, and I brought you the Hour of Politics. Our song, as always, is we are all Liberians. Let us talk. Let us fight with our mouths, but do so respectfully, not demeaning each other, not denigrating each other. Let disagree civilly, because we all love that country and we all should care about our country so deeply. And the best way we can fight for that better Liberia is to start talking, but talking responsibly and civilly. The insults will not get us there. And you can count on Focus on Liberia for that. And before I let you go, here I Focus on Liberia, if you are one of those who follow us and you have somebody that you want to come here as guest to discuss a particular topic that you care about, it could be you yourself want to talk about a specific thing. This is our website. Go on focusonliberia.net and then you click on contact. This is where you put your name. You put your name, your email, what you want to talk about can be the subject, and a little brief message. Hit submit, and we will get that notification. And once we get that notification, we guarantee you we will be able to connect with you to see how we can bring you in for you to participate in what we do. Also, if you're one of those persons who want to contribute to what we do, the opportunity is yours right here at the bottom. This is where you can come and make a contribution. If you so wish, again, if you so wish and love what we do here, as we continue to educate and elevate and promoting all things Liberia. On that note, folks, I want to say thank you for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Many of you say you're not getting a notification. It is because something went wrong with YouTube, so you have to kind of resubscribe so that when we upload our show, you will be able to get that notification immediately. Like our Facebook page also, and then you will also get a notification. Our son, we are all Liberians. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. USA, all we want. Liberia, USA, all we want. Liberia. Oh,